as you probably heard, Botswana is the leading producer of diamonds by value, and our timing for being here is also spot on because the government of Botswana just announced that it was taking a 24% stake in Belgium gen firm HB Antwerp. And lucky for us, yeah, it's very exciting, and lucky for us, we have a panelist here, Naseem from Lucara, who I'm hoping can give us the inside scoop on a lot of this. So Naseem, I want to start with you, and I want to start with a hard question. So your competitor De Beers, as we just heard, has had a decades-old stronghold on this country. What does this deal with Antwerp mean for you at Lucara, and how are you looking at the competition?
Okay, so firstly, we are junior minor, right? So I generally don't consider ourselves competition, but we set the tone in the diamond industry. So if you call that competition, that's perfect, right? Because we sort of the game changers in the industry. Botswana has always been known for their diamonds, but we brought it in to the limelight for the large stones that we produce, the technology that we bring into country, and there's various ways that we process that has never been done before. It's been done here in Botswana. So if you call that competition, then yes, that's competition, right? But again, in terms of the revenue side of things as well, like I said, we trailblaze, we're the change makers in the industry. We're up there. Our production levels are 300,000 to 400,000 carats per annum, compared to what you say is competition, 20 million to 30 million. I think you can do the assessment there. But I think the way we do business, for anybody that's here, that's an entrepreneur, you want to be different in the way you do things. You want to make sure that you extract the best possible value out of the product that you serve. So if that's competition, then you've got your answer, right? But I think coming back to Antwerp and HB, for us, we use them specifically for our large stones because our production is done in such a way that 70% of our bottom line is actually the sale of our large stones. Okay. And with the technology that we brought on board, we extracted a lot of large stones, and that put us on the mark in the world, but we weren't selling them very well. And we needed to make sure that we maximize the benefit out of those sales. And we had just a few side holders that were purchasing, or customers that were purchasing those stones. And we saw a drop in our value in terms of our large stones. So we then decided again to be the trailblazers or the game changers in the industry and partnered with HB Antwerp. And I think that was probably the birth of the relationship with the government. Coming back to what we talked about is, I think the government is rightfully doing what they're doing, specifically because, downstream activities, we've done really, really well with extracting the diamond. We are a product of De Beers, actually. I am, and I thank them for that, but I think the government is right to say that they want to extract the best possible value, and how do they do that? Get into the value chain, downstream activities. So I think, for me, makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know you said it's not about competition, but Olivia, I want to go back to you on the topic of competition. So you are a startup founder. Obviously, you're up against the biggest jewelry players in the world, Tiffany, Zales, people like that. How do you look at what you're doing, and how do you set yourself apart from the competition?
Yeah, totally. I would say the diamond industry and jewelry industry is extremely fragmented. So you have those big luxury retailers like the Tiffany's, the Cartiers. You also have a ton of local mom and pop jewelry stores and online marketplaces. So it's all about differentiating yourself and finding that white space in the market that you can fill. So for us, at least, we really targeted millennial audiences. We started as an educational blog, and then through social media grew a community of jewelry and diamond lovers that wanted to be educated and feel very empowered with their purchase. So instead of the opaqueness that a lot of the jewelry and diamond industry has been known for, we kind of were super transparent, very educational, and tech-enabled. So we're able to help each of our customers get that private jewelry experience, picking out exactly the perfect stone, creating a one-of-a-kind piece that was once only, for super wealthy people or celebrities. We're democratizing that private jewelry experience through education and technology.
That makes sense. And Thelma, any thoughts here on how you stand out from the crowd too?
Storytelling. Hello? Can you hear me? Oh yeah. Storytelling. That's my key selling point. I choose the clients that I work with. I'm lucky to be able to do so. And that was a conscious decision from...
Why don't you borrow Olivia's mic really fast for this one? Thank you.
I'm lucky to be able to choose the clients that I work with and bring them into the process of actually creating the jewelry. So everybody is asking where the diamonds are coming from. And I say, go to Botswana and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's coming from there. The conversation has changed because 20 years ago when I got into the industry, people were coming to me and saying, and talking about blood diamonds and, you know, everything about that. And I felt like the spokesperson for Africa, and I was always lost for words and how to explain that it was just bad leadership. And it wasn't just bad leadership from the government, it was also the companies doing business on our shores, right? But it's changed. All that has changed. We're finally at a place where we have producers of diamonds, you know, these magnificent jewels that are actually doing amazing things for the communities that, you know, they're extracted from. That's incredible.
Right.
And those stories need to be told. I do my job at telling the stories, and I think a bigger platform needs to be dedicated to telling that story.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad you're here today to tell it. So going back to Botswana and here, and Olivia, did you have something to add to that as well? Or you got your mic, we're all good. Amazing. So I was reading that there was a report last month that mining growth in Botswana is expected to be flat this year amid weaker demand for diamond jewelry. Are you all experiencing this in your businesses, and what are you doing to combat it, if so? And Naseem, let's start with you.
So I think from my perspective, again, you know, we're in a very different market. We talk about the large stones, so it's very niche. And even if you look at the 1 to 15 carats that we sell on Clara, a platform that's never been seen before. So again, first of its kind in the world, and it's happening here in Botswana as well. But I think for us, it's a different dynamic, right? We are seeing growth in terms of what we're seeing from a large stone perspective because of the way we're selling. And coming back to competitive edge, very similar to what the lady said here, you know, you're telling the story through Clara. So people want to buy those stones. And again, who wouldn't want to buy a Botswana diamond? Come on, guys. Really? So obviously the demand is up, right? So because we have good provenance, right? And that's who our clientele are. It's people that want to understand what these stones are doing. And as we create this brand of the Botswana diamond, the demand will go up. And that's what we're doing. We're consciously doing that. It's a deliberate effort to make sure that, yes, the market may be tapering down, of course, yes. I mean, China's coming up, but very slowly. I mean, we're cautiously optimistic about that. But in terms of saying that, I do believe that there's potential to increase the demand in terms of provenance and creating that brand for the diamonds that we have in Botswana. And as Lucara Botswana and Lucara Diamond Corp, we're doing that through Clara and also through the arrangement that we have with HP. And, you know, people love our stones. They have a consistent production profile, type 2A stones, 1 to 2% of the population of diamonds in the world. So who doesn't want to own our diamonds?
Right, yeah. And Thelma, what are you seeing?
I haven't actually seen that in my business. Oh my, can you hear me now?
It's the cursed mic.
Cursed mic. I haven't actually seen a lack of demand in my business. What I do think has fueled that article is more of a global economic situation rather than a lack of consumer trust in the industry. I think that the industry needs to do better at telling those stories. Innovators like Lucara need to push those stories out there because I'm doing it on my scale, but I speak to, you know, private clients who choose me because they know, you know, ethically sourced diamonds are my thing, but it needs to be on a bigger platform. It needs to reach a wider audience. Otherwise, we will be lost.
Yeah.
People will just not give us a chance anymore. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep building the trust based on stories, based on putting amazing things that the industry is doing out there, you know, countries like this.
Now, speaking of the industry, I just want to call out to everyone in this room that the mining industry, women represent an estimated 8 to 17% of the global mining workforce, yet it is incredibly rare that I am here with 3 women on stage, and I think this is something that's astounding. So yes, big props to that. But I want to talk about the challenges there. And Olivia, have you faced any challenges because of your gender in the industry, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, when I got into, my family has been in the diamond industry for 4 generations, obviously, like my father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. When I decided to go off on my own and start my own business, I was met with a lot of hesitation because a lot of my business partners, suppliers, vendors were all, you know, guys my dad's age, so people didn't take me that seriously, but I think over time, you know, you really just have to use that as your advantage as much as your disadvantage, and once you like prove yourself, you know, people come around and then start knocking on your door wanting to work with you more and more.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of it, being young, being a woman in a male-dominated industry.
That makes sense.
I had one thing to say about the last question.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think that in terms of the production going down, we saw a huge spike, at least in bridal, over the past couple years during COVID. And I think this is just like a normalization that's occurring because people were locked in. They had a ton of extra money to spend on their partners that they had been quarantined with. So we saw an enormous spike during COVID for bridal, but for fine jewelry, I don't see that tapering off as much.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, as a COVID bride, I can attest that I saw that spike and experienced it. But Thelma, back to you on the gender question. Have you had any challenges that you've had to face?
Yes. Yeah, like I said, 20 years ago, it was a different field to play in. And I get it, you know, this girl from Lagos, you know, coming into a new country, you know, trying to wiggle her way to find a seat, you know, at the table. It's been tough. It's had its I've had my fair share of knocks, you know, so from being told at interviews that my hair, which I wore in cornrows, did not suit the look, to setting up my own business with my partner, only to have him be the face, the front face, because he was white, male, and Jewish. But you know, like what Olivia said, you use that, and I realized that I have this strength to turn those sort of situations into this fuel of passion that just, it drives me. I was young and I had this dream, which I still have.
Good. And
you just keep going. And yeah, I think being Nigerian as well, like, gives me that. It's like, you don't give up, you go.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be the way, right? And this is it. I hope that more young women find it easier, you know, have an easier time getting into the industry and, yeah, getting a seat at the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see anything you wanted to add there?
Oh, of course. I mean, I come from the mining sector. It's very male populated. Bald, gray men, probably the age of your dad. Very, very difficult to transition, and every time you said you wanted to be that leader in the organization, it was always said, no, you can't. From a career development perspective, everyone said, no, you can't. But I think what Thelma said, and obviously Olivia as well, it just gives you more determination. You become this dog with a bone in your mouth, and you start really going at it and saying, you know what, if you're not going to listen to me, somebody else will. And that's what happened with me. I took a leap of faith to another organization, and I saw the light there because there were progressive men there. There were progressive men there, and then guess what? We have a female leader coming in. So that just changed the entire platform for me, or architecture for me. And right now, statistically and a fact, we have 33% women in our workforce, which is double the world average in the mining industry. And it's all done inherently, because we've created a platform where women can actually see that they can actually do these jobs. And there's hope, right? So when you see females leading, the other females come up and, you know, we're thriving right now, which is quite important, actually. Thank you.